Hi guys, I'm going to tie another one of these PERCH stroke trout mini jigs. So again, we're using these mustard micro jigs. This is a size 1 and a 2.5 grams. We'll tighten that into our vise. And what I'm going to do is a little bit of super glue on the shank. So, I said this one is sort of based on a pike pattern that I type called Jack Frost, which is white with a red head. So similar tying to the other one, what we're going to do is take a little bit of silver dubbing. And we're going to create a ball about halfway down our shank there, and the only purpose of this ball is to kick the bucktail portion. So we take a little bunch of fine bucktail, we'll grab it by the tips, pull out the shorter stuff, line them up to it, and do that a couple of times until you get a roughly lined up bunch, and then we'll cut that off at about the length of the shank. Place it up until it's behind the ball here. A couple of loose wraps, and then allow it to splay all around. Now you might need to tease it around with your thumbnail. Once it's in position, I'll tie it down to the front here and then wind back tight up to the ball, and what you'll see then is that'll kick out our skirt. Right, so the tinsel portion of the rear of the fly is a mix that I've made, but you can buy hanks of stuff instead. I buy spools, and then I've mixed together silvers and pearls here to create our bunch. I'm going to create a little bunch here of maybe, oh, I don't know, it could be 20 or so fibers in that there. And then I'm just going to hold the two ends and slide them past each other slightly, overlay them, and we'll get a taper to our bunch where the ends are not all as if you'd cut them square. And then we'll tie that in at about 60% or so of its length. Again, splay it out with your thumb, put a loose wrap of thread on, and that will allow it to sort of wrap around the shank. Let's say it might look a bit rough at this point, but when you start to fold all back, you'll begin to get that taper and that sort of teardropped shape of a little baitfish. And our little skirt of bucktail there will throw that out. So as you can see, when that's in the water, this will taper back. We'll have a little bit of body here and a taper out to our tail. So now what I'm going to do is take pearl or white pearl crystal mirage. I'm going to take, say, 3 strands of that, and then I'll double those over and cut it at its midpoint, and then I'll do that again. So 3 went to 6, now it goes to 12 fibers. So as you can see, I have 2 sort of bunches of 6 fibers or so, and I'll pull one past the other one by 1/3 or so of its length. Pull out a couple of the other fibers out of each one just so that we get that again misaligned. And I'm going to set that on the side towards myself, tie it in flat, and then I'm going to take it across the other side and down, and again allow it to tie in on the far side. I just think that's a really effective sort of pearl flash, gives that sort of scaled effect of a little fish. So we'll glue that. So next, white portions. What we're going to use is a white craft fur. If you don't have craft fur, use any sort of white fur, I suppose, that you have. You'd use rabbit or fox or whatever. I'm going to take that bunch, and again I'm going to hold it by the tips and pull the tips out. Line up the next set of tips, and then this stuff's getting short, so we'll get rid of it. So now we have a little bunch where the tips are sort of lined up. So I'm going to pinch it into my other hand and cut that off. Make sure there's no real short stuff in. And then we'll tie that in pointing forwards. Loose wrap across it. It'll splay out. Splay it all around the shank and hold it back on itself. Get your tying thread in front. A little bit of super glue. A couple of wraps. So next we're going to put on the red head. Again here I'm going to use a red craft fur. This is actually, it was meant to be pretend foxtail or something. But you could just as easily use something short fibred like a red rabbit's anchor strip. So I'll take a bunch of my red fur. And this quite suits me because it's too short to be used on most of my pike flies, but it still has a little bit of taper and it's quite straight. A lot of craft furs are quite poor quality. Okay, so we've got our red craft fur bunch, and cut that quite short. It's might be an inch. So I'm going to allow that to envelop around the shank. Put on a loose wrap. Tie it down in place. Check that it's all brushed around evenly, and then fold it back. Get our tying thread in front of it, and then we'll glue up a couple of inches our tying thread, hold back the head and wrap that, and that'll create like a little bleb of glue, and that should set the head fibres in position. Finish that off. And then I'll just take a little bit of super glue. I put a blab down here on a piece of paper, and then I'll take a cocktail stick and just allow that to roll around. That'll finish the head off and also set those fibres in position. So because the jig is going to fish that way up. So what we'll do then is add our eyes. So we're going to use a 2-part epoxy to do that. And I'm mixing it here on little disposable post-it pads and with our cocktail stick. So just a little blob of it on equal sides. Create a blob, roll the cocktail stick. As you can see, the blob is on it. I'll flip this up sideways, and then I just let the blob settle out there at the front, and I use the cocktail stick to sort of dig it into the material. I like it to be hitting that shank, hitting the under part of the dressing. So next we'll take, in this case, a little silver eye, and I'm going to set that on top of our bleb. I'm just going to push it down into that. And I get a little bit of the glue up over that front ridge of it, and then we shall let that set. So as you can see, we have a little red and white mini jig Jack Frost for PERCH. So when this sets, what I'll do is I'll take the glue and I'll put one on the other side. You can do the two at once, but it tends to be quite hard to control, and as this sort of sets itself, it'll take 5 minutes, so obviously we're not going to wait 5 minutes. But as it sets, I'll just sort of keep pushing it down into that, and when it gets close to setting, then it'll hold its position and give you a nice narrow sort of a head. So as I said, it's just a matter of me repeating that on the other side in about 5 minutes time, but you get the idea. So that's our Jack Frost PERCH jig. Like what you see, like and subscribe with the like and subscribe button, and tight lines. Hope to see you again. Thanks for watching.